For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dhlamini. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss, is Zuma on the way out? Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
What was at stake in the debate over Zuma's removal as president?
Yes, it was a so dramatic weekend in the sense that one gets the impression that people are helpless to deal with whatever Zuma does. And I think the reason why there were a number of reasons why people brought this motion or this proposal that he should step down. From what I can gather, it would be, in the first place, that if he remains in place, the country is going to be really run into the ground. He doesn't seem to care about millions lost when he fired Nene, millions lost over the charging of Gordon. He doesn't seem to concern himself about these things. So on the one hand, people felt that, it seems to me, they felt that it was necessary to rescue the country from a president who is driving it to ruin. Now, when I say this, I don't have first-hand contact. I don't have sources and things like that, but I'm just estimating. Secondly, I think some people have an ethical sense. They feel that when they voted for the Nkandla spending, they endorsed the Marikana killing, or they obfuscated around it. People viewed them with contempt, and they really don't like this idea that they are seen as ethically spineless. So I think it was important for some people to show that they do have some measure of courage, and they were prepared to risk their futures, because their future in the cabinet is, if they're in the cabinet or various other positions that the ANC president can deal with, depends on Zuma. So they wanted to, for their own psychological reasons, but also for their self-esteem and their way of being viewed by others, it was important for them to do this. But there may also have been reasons of calculation, as when Thabo Mbeki was going to be removed, people started to position themselves for what would happen after Thabo Mbeki left. Now, some people may well have calculated that Zuma is on the way out, so that they may as well just put themselves on the right side of history. However, it appears that there were a fairly significant number of people who didn't speak at all. So those people were even more careful about putting themselves on the right side by saying nothing, or not indicating that they were against Zuma or against whatever happens afterwards. But I think that the element of calculation obviously does come in. So what was at stake for the people who supported this was, first of all, something personally. Maybe they go home and their child says to them, "But how could you support this?" And it's quite embarrassing. So that they wanted to, for their self-esteem, for their integrity, they wanted to try and restore some of it, but also they wanted to save the country from destruction of various state-owned entities which were working very well, government agencies that were working very well, etc., etc. But on the other hand, the people who supported Zuma had a vested interest in his remaining in power, because there's a sort of mutual relationship of support. People in the so-called Premier League, they want Zuma to stay in power in order to ensure that they continue to divert funds from what they intended to be for, in order to benefit themselves and those close to him. So you had these people supporting him, the Youth League as well, and the Women's League, and their reasons were not so much related to the future of the country, but the benefits that they have been deriving personally to ensure that this continues, and also to safeguard Zuma from being removed and possibly having a lesser chance of averting prosecution and having to give back some of the money that he has benefited from in these years.
You also speak of President Jacob Zuma as vulnerable, but does that mean that he will serve out his term in office?
You know, when you say someone's vulnerable, what I think is the fact that a motion like this was brought at all, the fact that the NEC meeting went on for 4 days, that is something very unusual, and it shows that, and it seems like Zuma at the end spoke very angrily about this. It shows that this was unexpected, that these people had gathered their strength, talked to one another for a long time, tried to decide what to do. Now, it doesn't mean that he can go tomorrow necessarily, but since this has happened now, and they've shown that it's possible to take him on, it may embolden them to do it again. One should also remember that there are a number of things about to happen. The Supreme Court of Appeal is about to make a decision on the charges against Zuma, which were reinstated by the North Gauteng High Court. It's likely, as I can see it, that they will reinstate the charges. He may go to the Constitutional Court, and they seem, in my view, to be likely to reinstate it. Now, what is different from a few months ago is that Zuma relied on the National Prosecuting Authority to defend him. Now, the present head of the National Prosecuting Authority could well be suspended. Zuma has asked him to give reasons why. Now, when they struck off the roll the Freedom Under Law and Helen Suzman Foundation application to have him suspended or removed, it was not because of the merits that there were not reasons to remove him, but was because they didn't regard it as, the court didn't see it as urgent, since the president was already doing this. But now, if the president doesn't remove him, they may then go and apply for him to be removed. And his deputy, Jiba, and Lawrence Mkhebi have been disbarred. In other words, if their appeal to have the court's decision to remove them from the role of advocates, if that is not set aside, they can't serve in the NPA. So you've got 3 leading figures, 2 at least, but maybe even with Abrams, I think he'll be chastened by the reaction to the case of Gordhan, and not as strong, not as willing to do anything that suits Zuma in the future. So Zuma's position is weakened, and it may be more difficult. It will still be difficult to remove him, but it may be possible. We don't know when. I think a number of other institutions that have been allies of Zuma are coming under attack, like the Hawks Head. His position is being challenged early this month, again by Freedom Under Law and Helen Suzman Foundation. He may be removed. IPID is wanting to charge various people who are allies of Zuma. So there's a battle going on between IPID and the Minister of Police and Nhleko, and basically we have a sense then that things are not just going simply smoothly as Zuma would want. So it's not only that the political bases that support him are weakened, but the institutional capture that he succeeded in achieving is being undermined, and he can't rely on them to simply just wish away what he wants.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Crema Media's Polity about whether Zuma is on the way out.